Hello everybody. It's an honor for me to speak here at this conference. Thank you very much. And it's an honor for me to speak after Professor Haspel. I'm really glad for this because it was such an inspirational and such rich presentation. And it also forms all my understanding about heritage. I have to say that I graduated architecture in Berlin, and this is where I live in the last many years, 9 years actually. And this is the type of understanding and attitude about dark heritage. As Professor Haspel said, the capital of negative heritage, where I live and where I studied, where I formed as a professional. So seeing this all around me, it's absolutely natural to reflect and think what happens in Bulgaria. And I think it's absolutely natural to think what happens to the most iconic place of dark and socialist, actually, heritage in Bulgaria, which is Buzluja. This is also the reason I decided to do my master thesis about Buzluja and to start a real preservation campaign in Bulgaria since 2015. I founded the Buzluja Project Foundation, and since 2015 I continuously work searching for ways and possibilities to preserve the building. And why, actually? For me, personally, Buzluja is on first place an architectural masterpiece. The moment I saw a picture of this building, I was so deeply impressed, and I was so shocked by the situation we have in Bulgaria. Total irresponsibility, total loss of values, and I mean, decay at this historical point. And of course, another very important aspect is that it's an artifact of a whole historical period. It's the most iconic artifact of the socialist period in Bulgaria. And it is part of the history of Bulgaria, if you want it or not. And as such, it deserves to be explained, to be preserved, and to be a piece of education and piece of understanding of the period. And on the third place, it has also great potential. It is attracting a lot of tourism on this place, and has the potential to become a tourist destination of world significance. Not regional and not national, but world significance. And to bring income, to bring tourists, but most important, to bring understanding and education about the recent past. Let me ask you, how many of you have never heard or don't know anything about Buzluja?
I have a question. Can you tell us what the name Buzluja means in...
Okay, of course. Buzluja is a Turkish word for ice, because on this place the ice is standing the whole year, and this is the name of the mountain peak, and because of this, the area is named Buzluja and the monument also.
Never heard of it.
Ledenik.
In Turkish, yes. So you all know it, so that's the reason I will present the history and the status of the building real quick. The reason why it was built on this place is because of the true historical event that happened there. In 1868, this mountain peak received its historical importance as the fight of the Hagi Dimitar happened there. He was fighting against the Ottomans for the liberation of Bulgaria. In 1891, the Buzluja Congress, which was the founding Congress of the Communist Party, happened exactly on Buzluja, and in 1944 there was the fight of the partisans against Nazi forces, and true partisans lost their lives there. To honor this event, the Bulgarian Communist Party decided to build a monument, and the idea was, the initial task of the architectural competition was to build a star on the top of the mountain, and here you can see the development that the architect did to bring the monument to its present design. We have underground level with technic rooms, we have ground level with entrance hall, the main level with 2 rings of mosaics, and of course the star as the symbol and the reason to build this building. The funding was done with the nations. The whole Bulgarian nation participated, and it was not because the country didn't have the money for this, but because it had to be a nation on cost of the whole nation, and everybody should have participated. The construction took 7.5 years, 6,000 people were working for it, and it was an engineering masterpiece for this period. It was created by a lot of volunteers, the best architects of Bulgaria, engineers and artists, of course. The opening was in 1981, and was a big celebration of the communism and the communist ideas. It was used as an educational, for political education, as a propaganda tool, and it was visited by 2 to 3 million people for the 8 years of use. And the life cycle of the building, you can see here, I want to draw your attention to the last event and clarify the ownership of the monument. It was what the Bulgarian Socialist Party requested the ownership of the monument in 2011, and at the same moment the government offered the ownership, but the party didn't answer until the last summer in 2017, as they did another request as an answer to the last offer. But after this, the government decided not to give the ownership to the Bulgarian Socialist Party, and their request was rejected. And with this, the monument stays state property, and as state property until now. The condition today is mostly caused because of the roof and because of the missing layer, copper layer of the roof. Rain and snow and the weather conditions that go inside destroy all parts of the monument. But this I would say amazing roof construction is still in a condition that still can be preserved, although it is very much destroyed. And here you can see pictures of before and after, and you can see that a big part of the mosaics are still intact. It's actually about 80% of the inside trim are still in a good condition and as worth being preserved. And the condition of the building nowadays is actually attracting the big interest. It is visited by 400 people every day. This is the number that the security police that is placed there since 2 weeks or since the 30th of April counted. 400 people a day. They counted 3,000 people per week visiting Buzluđa. You can see most of the media, international media, posted articles or movies about Buzluđa. I personally receive requests about filming movies there, about festivals, about different events, if they can take place there, which is not possible at the moment. But this is great income that we lose instead of using and rethinking our history. And now, of course, the monument should be preserved. The question is how. And here are 2 proposals about the future of the monument. In any case, I think that the right gesture and the right attitude is to preserve the monument, but not to restore it. Not to restore it as it was, because restoring the communist symbols will mean restoring its meaning and restoring its glorification, which was the aim it was built. This is not the aim here. The aim is to remember, to understand, to educate. So this is the reason the monument should stay as it is now. It should stay in the condition that attracts all these tourists, and should explain how it was before and why. And of course, inside the building, there's place for events. It can be used as a multifunctional hall for different events like concerts, like meetings, conferences, discussions. And the concept that maybe some of you know the concept that was part of my master thesis is Buzluđe Monument, Memory of Time, as a museum of Bulgarian history that explains the whole Bulgarian history from the present time through through all the periods back to our roots, the antiquity, and back again until present time. This was the concept I presented, showing that Buzluđe not necessarily should be a political drama and not necessarily should be a scandal place. It can be a place of history, it can be heritage site. And with this idea, I did many exhibitions. I took part and organized many conferences, and I gathered a lot of feedback. And this happened actually between 2015 and 2017. During these 2 years, I was going through all institutions, cities, libraries, universities, gathering the opinion and the feedback of many different people from many different social layers. And today, I'm very happy to present you for the very first time the upgrade or the new attitude towards the building, the renovation and the new concept, the upgraded concept, I would say, about Buzluđe. And thinking about all the feedback I received, really, I'm convinced that we should not try to change or add to the building. We should, because changing and adding will mean to hide something and to destroy what it is already. And as said, it should not be restored as it was before, because this will mean glorification. The purpose of the building should be explaining what it is, preserving what it is, and remember what it was built and why it was built. And in this manner and this attitude, the main message of the building should be explaining, for example, the mosaics. The inside hall has around 500 square meters mosaics that show actually the ideas of communism. And it should be explained what were the ideas, but explained in a very critical way. What was the ideas, but how they were implemented, what was the good and the bad in this. And from the outside, in the outside ring, there is also mosaic showing different aspects of everyday life. Simple things like this industrialization, the role of the woman. This could be explained, how people lived in this historical period. And in between everyday life and the ideology, of course, is the place how this all worked, with all the repressions, with the prisons, with the victims. That should also be represented in this place. This is the history of Bulgaria, the history of this period. But also interesting is the history of the monument itself. This will take place in the underground level. There is a gallery explaining, actually, as I explained to you in the beginning, how it was built, how many people worked for this. There could be explained personal stories of the people, of the tour guides, of the workers. There can be displayed the original plans, the handmade drawings, the handmade plans of Buzluđe, how it developed as an idea. I think that's also really interesting for every visitor. And of course, as in the previous idea, the tourist or the visitor could travel up to the observation desk and enjoy the great view of Bulgarian mountain and learn about the surroundings. And here I have some visualizations, how architecturally this can happen. As I said, there should be minimum changing and minimum renovation just to allow the building to be used, for example, with seats and new coverings. Here is the place, of course, of the ideology and mythology, actually, that the communism created about itself. The corridor about the repressions of this time, and the outside ring with the everyday life of communism and the great view of the Bulgarian mountains. And now how? Until now we had what we should do or what we can show in this module. And it's also as much interesting how we can do this. And in my opinion, we can use the help of digital technology. As you can see here, with 3D glasses, a person can restore or destroy a sequence or a piece of the mosaic. And looking with the 3D glasses, this is virtual reality glasses, one could see how the building looks like. And those glasses have also earphones and have also audio. So just imagine, for example, the face of Todor Zhivkov, which is missing on the murals, is rebuilt, and you can see, and it starts talking. And it starts talking with its real voice of its last speech, why communism failed, and why it didn't work. What was the good, what was the bad. Or another example, the victims of this period. Here on the mosaics, the victims which fight that for communism are displayed, but also the victims which came after the start of communism could be addressed here.
Very, very interesting.
And of course, with the 3D glasses, or virtual reality glasses, you can see the condition today, the dirty, destroyed condition, and also the condition before. And it can be very personal experience, which refers to 21st century. Every person could have with their personal understandings and interests, could see different stories. And virtual reality is the future of technology. And what's very innovative here is to use it for heritage sites. And the new technology will develop methods very soon to combine or to mix the real reality together with the virtual reality. This will be happening in the next 2 years. And then you'll be able to see the real reality together with the implementation, restorations, or stories that can be added on. This is the one feature. And those features actually will allow to explain Buzludzha without putting labels, without putting class vitrines, or putting posters on them, but just by preserving exactly how it is, not changing, not adding, but explaining. And this can happen also with 3D mapping. I'm sure you all know what is 3D mapping. This is projection on wall. And those 3D mappings can, again, explain and show the mosaics and the purpose of the building. But also can show totally different things. It is right up to the event that's happening there. And can show also stories about the space, about the stars, about the flying saucer, or whatever is needed at this place. It's a great place for events. And as I have to conclude, I want once again just to go through the last part, which is the underground of the monument, where, as said, you can see all the history of the monument itself, with its history of the place, planning, construction, utilization, destruction, and the preservation process, which is also a long, hard process. It will be very interesting to see there. And then you can travel up with the elevator through the stars that are still in their present condition to the top levels, with a skywalk where a visitor could stand if he wants, and with a glass and with a terrace observation desk where one could see Bulgaria and the surroundings and learn more about them. Of course, it can be used for different events. And to conclude, I want to just to add what happened till now. Maybe some of you know there was a meeting with the Prime Minister of Bulgaria, who was positive about the preservation of Buzludzha. Then there was a meeting in the Ministry of Culture in 2016. But then, after the political crisis, the topic was, or the idea of protecting Buzludzha was stopped. And since then, we did, with Buzludzha Project Foundation, we did 3D scanning of the building. So we have now the condition of the building now. We did conferences in Kazanlak, and there was also a quite interesting event at the Rock Festival of Buzlucca, which will happen also this year, by the way. And at the end, I'm very happy that Buzlucca became one of the 7 most endangered places in Europe. And it was, this means for us that it's one more statement, the European statement that Buzlucca is a European heritage, and it's one of the most endangered valuable pieces of heritage in Europe. And with this, Bulgaria will gain a visit by experts in September, and they will create a preservation plan for free. This will be the first step to start the evaluation and to create a first feasible plan what can be done with the building. They'll give technical advices, financial advices, and so on. If you want to learn more, I'll be here the whole day as well tomorrow at Buzlucca, so I'll be very happy to hear your feedback. Thank you.